is the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Cahill Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. What's better than 2 straight Super Bowl championships? How about 3 in a row? No NFL team has ever done that, and the Chiefs are now aiming to become the first. That would be legendary to accomplish that, quarterback Patrick Mahomes said today of a three-peat. Defensive lineman Eric Armstead, among multiple 49ers players who admitted they were not aware of the new playoff overtime rules following that Super Bowl LVIII loss to the Chiefs. It was on Coach Kyle Shanahan to ensure that everybody knew of the change, ensuring that both teams get a chance to possess the ball in OT before that game ends, says ESPN's Herm Edwards.
This is something you talk about to your team about, and you got to make sure they understand that. And you know, when you discuss this, these discussions happen during the week of preparation, and you actually give them some scenarios and you talk about it. I think you got to make your team aware of that.
Herm Edwards on Carlin versus Joe. UCLA's hired former star player and longtime assistant coach Deshaun Foster as its new football coach. He gets a 5-year contract and takes over for Chip Kelly, now the OC at Ohio State.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Tuesday. Are the Chiefs the clear favorite to three-peat, or will a new challenger emerge? I'll give you my top 5 contenders for next season. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Sue. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Ton to do. Super Bowl LVIII was a classic. The Saints officially have their offensive coordinator. It is baseball game week for LSU. We got a ton to do, so let's get right to it.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right, Super Bowl LVIII is in the books. It went to overtime, as you well know, and it was a legacy-defining game, both good and bad. Here's how the final play called on the Chiefs radio network.
McKinnon is in at running back. First down and goal to go. Play action fake. Right side throw. Touchdown! Kansas City! McCole Hardman with the catch on the right side. A 3-yard touchdown pass in overtime. Kansas City wins the game. 25-22. And the Chiefs Kingdom has started its own history class, because for the first time in 6,900.
Okay, that's egregious. Get out of here. Thank you. That's plenty. I don't need. That is so gratuitous. Anyway, from the thrill of victory to the agony of defeat, the 49ers radio call.
7 seconds, 6. They are going to snap it. Mahomes going to roll to his right, throws, touchdown. The Chiefs have won the Super Bowl. McCole Hardman. As they roll Mahomes right, McCole Hardman is wide open. And the Chiefs win the Super Bowl back-to-back years. Another heartbreaking loss for Kyle Shanahan.
And that really is the legacy part of Super Bowl 58. Both Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan. The game itself for the first half was a total snooze fest. It was scoreless at the end of the first quarter. It was 10-3 at halftime. The game really was defined by both starting running backs fumbling deep in their opponent's territory, the just general inability of either offense to get anything going, silly penalties. It was just a slog fest. It was not an aesthetically pleasing or fun game to watch. But they went to half 10-3, and then you start the second half, and right from jump, first play of the third quarter, Mahomes pitches to Pacheco. It goes off a shoulder pad. They fumble. 2 plays later, Mahomes throws an interception. I mean, it was just a hideous football game to watch. But man, did that game deliver in the fourth quarter. 4 lead changes in the fourth quarter alone. It was incredible to watch when you had to have plays. Both teams made them. It led to high drama. And obviously, we got the second overtime game in the history of the Super Bowl, and we know how it ended. But that, for me, really, I think, is the story of this Super Bowl. Not just that it went to overtime, but how overtime and why overtime transpired the way it did. We were at Don Juan, T-Bob, Muse, and I doing a companion show, and somebody popped on in the chat, and as the 49ers were driving the football, and they were asking, hey, if the Niners score a touchdown, is it over? And I had to look it up. We're sitting there watching the game, and I didn't know. I know they had changed the overtime rules to where each team would possess the ball, but I thought maybe for a touchdown, like in the regular season, it would end. So we look it up, and sure enough, both teams were going to possess the ball either way. And then after the Niners kick the field goal and the Chiefs have the ball and they're driving, the clock's running out. A lot of us are sitting there thinking, hey, what happens if the clock runs out? Are they going to run out of time? Or what, does the game end? And as we now know, both teams are guaranteed a full possession in overtime. So had the clock run out, they would have just essentially started a new period with the Chiefs playing the ball as they were right there with first and goal after the Kelsey reception. But the defining part there to me is that the Chiefs knew what they were doing and the Niners did not. You've probably seen or heard a lot of these quotes by now. Here was Kyle Juszczyk after the game. Quote, "You know what? I didn't even realize the playoff rules were different in overtime. I assume you just want the ball to score a touchdown and win. I guess that's not the case. I don't totally know the strategy. We hadn't talked about it. No." That's Kyle Juszczyk. By the way, that's a first-team All-Pro fullback, Kyle Juszczyk, who acknowledged after the game they hadn't talked about the overtime rules. Eric Armstead, again, another former All-Pro defensive lineman there for the 49ers, said after the game, quote, "I didn't even know about the new playoff overtime rules, so it was surprising to me. They put it on the scoreboard and everyone was like, oh, even if you score, they get a chance still." On the flip side, Justin Reid, Baton Rouge's own Justin Reid, Super Bowl champion, defensive back with the Kansas City Chiefs, said, quote, "We've talked about it all year. We talked about it in training camp about how the rules were different in regular season versus the playoffs. Every week of the playoffs, we talked about the overtime rule." And that is why Andy Reid outshines Kyle Shanahan. That is why the San Francisco 49ers, even with the better roster, are sitting there wondering how they let another one get away. Attention to detail. The Niners have built the better roster. Kyle Shanahan is one of the best offensive-minded coaches in the game. Nobody's disputing that. But there's a big difference between being a great play caller and being a great head coach. And I'm not suggesting Kyle Shanahan is a bad head coach. But clearly, the attention to detail, and that's a massive detail not to know, is what is lacking. I mean, Andy Reid said on Monday morning at his press conference that their statistical analysis coordinator, Mike Frazier, that he and Reid had discussed all the overtime rules and strategies and agreed it was advantageous to get the ball second. So had the Chiefs won the toss, they would have gone on defense because they wanted to, like in college overtime, you want to see what the other team does. Now, Kyle Shanahan, after the game, said that they wanted the ball first because he wanted the ball third, which is weird, but if you think of it this way, to essentially say if we score and they match us, then we have the ball first in sudden death. Okay, that's fine and good, except for the fact that Chris Jones said after the game, Kansas City Chiefs defensive lineman Chris Jones said, if the Niners had scored a touchdown on the opening drive to take the 7-point lead, the Chiefs were prepared to go for 2 if they scored on their ensuing possession. There was no detail left unaddressed with Kansas City. They knew exactly what their plan was going to be, and the Niners players didn't even know the overtime rules. That's inexcusable on that stage to not know the overtime. I mean, me and Muse and T-Bob sitting at Don Juan smoking a cigar and having a drink. Okay, I get it. Well, we don't know all the overtime rules. The guys playing in the game? You're all pro fullback? You're all pro defensive tackle? Those guys don't know the overtime rules? That's a direct reflection on Kyle Shanahan. And that's why, in part, he's now a 3-time Super Bowl loser. And in 3 egregious fashions. As the offensive coordinator in Atlanta, where they blew a 28-3 lead. And I understand Dan Quinn was the head coach of that team. But Kyle Shanahan was calling plays. They're still throwing the football instead of running clock. I mean, a strip sack of Matt Ryan was one of the biggest plays in the Patriots' comeback in that game. You were up 10 with 7 minutes to play 4 years ago, and you blew that lead. And then here you are again. And that's legacy. That's why Kyle Shanahan is now a 2-time Super Bowl loser as a head coach, and the narrative around him is this is 3 Super Bowls he's been in, and all 3 Super Bowls his team has blown double-digit leads. And on the flip side, Andy Reid is now one of 5 men ever in the history of the NFL to win through 3 Super Bowls. The list is Chuck Noll, Bill Walsh, Joe Gibbs, Bill Belichick, and now Andy Reid. That's it. That's the whole list. Not Tom Landry, not Vince Lombardi, not Don Shula, not Jimmy Johnson. The 5 men I just mentioned. That's the whole list. Chuck Noll, Joe Gibbs, Bill Walsh, Bill Belichick, and now Andy Reid. Greatest coach of this generation? No, that's Belichick. He's the greatest coach ever. And Reid would have a long way to go to approach him. But is Andy Reid, does he belong on the Mount Rushmore? He's certainly in the conversation, if not having established himself. And Andy Reid, by the way, was asked after the game if he was planning on coaching next season. Here was Andy Reid's words after the game last night.
Yeah, I haven't had time to think about it, but yeah, sure. I mean, I get asked that, so, I'm mad at Belichick and Pete because now I get asked all those questions. All right.
If Andy Reid returns next season, as it appears he will, and coaches the Chiefs to a 3-peat, which certainly plausible as long as you got Patrick Mahomes there, that would be the first 3-peat in NFL history. Defining legacy, both good and bad. That was the main storyline on Super Bowl Sunday. All right, it's after further review. Hat tip to our friends over at Mockler Beverage. Told y'all Mockler did a great thing last night for Super Bowl Sunday and for the parades on Saturday, doing a deal with Uber where they gave away free promo codes to make sure everybody arrived safely. So we tip our hat to our friends over at Mockler Beverage. And, of course, Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. A Bud Light commercial last night during the Super Bowl was awesome. And And, of course, it's Mardi Gras. So Lundi Gras today, Mardi Gras tomorrow. If you're going to be out on the parade routes, if you're getting out, make sure you grab some ice-cold Bud Light to have for you and the whole gang out on the parade routes, or if you're just celebrating at home this Lundi Gras or tomorrow on Mardi Gras. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, and, of course, the official beer of LSU Athletics. It's Bud Light. Okay, y'all, quick break. We'll come back. The Saints have made it official now that Klint Kubiak is being hired as the new offensive coordinator of the New Orleans Saints. I did watch the game last night somewhat through the lens of watching Klint Kubiak, thinking, all right, well, that guy's going to be the Saints offensive coordinator. What do I see? We'll get to some of that when we come back. And also, I'll let you hear more from both the winners and the losers from Super Bowl 58. We're glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Lundi Gras today, Mardi Gras tomorrow. So if you're getting out to the parade routes, grab everything you need at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. I tell you all the time, look, if you want beverages, both adult beverages, if it's ice cold beer or mixers, whatever you need for cocktails, they got it. But I also want to remind you, too, that at Rouse's, they'll have all the beverages you need for the kiddos. They have grab-and-go party tray options. So if you want to get a party platter of ribs or fried chicken for a whole crew, if you want to get any of your sides, sweets, they've got all that to bring out to the parade route. So you don't need to go hungry on the parade route or thirsty, and Rouse's can help you. And, of course, they have great Rouse's branded products as well. You want king cakes, you can get Rouse's king cakes, which they are still shipping, by the way. If you want to get a little taste of home to anybody around the country, go to Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 Black Widow trucks, $20,000 off new Ram 1500 trucks, and all new Buyou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Buyou Automotive is going to do right by you.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends April 30th, 2024.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
I heard the most for the players. Those are the guys. I mean, it's such a, can't tell you guys how long it takes to get here and just how long an NFL season is, going through January and all the way into February. So our guys, I heard from the most.
That was Kyle Shanahan. One of those guys, of course, is quarterback Brock Purdy, who grew up a lot in that game. And afterwards, he said in his postgame that you could put the loss on him.
When you have a good offense like the Chiefs do and what Mahomes can do, for us, it's like, all right, we have to score touchdowns. We had opportunities to do so, I think. Shot ourselves in the foot with just penalties and the operations and stuff. So I got to be better in terms of, leading the guys and think of how I handle things in the huddle and telling them, what to expect, stuff like that. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, I think we have the team, the offense to score touchdowns, and I think I failed to put our team in position to do that.
Very mature, which I think we've all come to expect from Brock Purdy. Mature for a young guy who's had a pretty charmed start to his career after being Mr. Irrelevant, as we all know, which that part of the story becomes less relevant the more he wins, but it's always going to be part of his narrative. But from the NFC Championship game a year ago where he got injured to now being in the Super Bowl in year 2, and you're never guaranteed to get back. I mean, I know we tell the story, but Dan Marino went year 2 and never got back. Joe Burrow went in year 2. A long runway still, but there are cautionary tales about just assuming that you'll get back. I mean, part of the conversation about Mahomes that makes me chuckle when people talk about, is Mahomes the greatest, this or that. Patrick Mahomes now has 3 in 5 years. Tom Brady won his first 3 in 4 seasons, from the 2001 season to the 2004 season. He won 3 in 4 years. They didn't win another one for a decade. They won the Super Bowl in the 2004 season, and then didn't win again until the 2014 season when they beat Seattle. When Pete Carroll made the decision to throw the ball at the goal line instead of giving it to Marshawn Lynch. And then, of course, they would go on to win 2 more after that, number 5 and number 6. But it took a decade. They got there a couple more times and lost to the Giants in 2007 and 2011. So it's just, we try to draw these big, wide, sweeping conclusions way too prematurely, and it was all the conversation people were having last week, but let it play out. It's fun to watch as it does happen. So, Brock Purdy, his path is going to be part of the NFL's narrative, of course, but it's going to happen now without Klint Kubiak, and that's because Klint Kubiak, we learned weeks ago, was going to be the Saints offensive coordinator, is now being reported by everybody, including NFL media, that it is official that the Saints have hired Klint Kubiak to be the offensive coordinator as of this very moment at 3:22 Central Time on Monday, February the 12th. The Saints have not yet formally put out an announcement, but apparently it has happened, and as NFL media and others are reporting. And I did watch the Super Bowl through that lens, kind of with a closer eye on what San Francisco was doing offensively because of Kubiak. Now, it is also fair to say, how much of the offense is Kubiak and how much of the offense is Kyle Shanahan? Clearly it's Shanahan's baby, we all know, but everybody tries to get little pieces, branches off the tree, which is why you've seen, Mike McDaniel, now the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, or Bobby Slowick being hired by the Houston Texans, and they had obviously a fantastic year with him as offensive coordinator this year. And the Saints are trying to get a little piece of that as well with Klint Kubiak. We've talked a lot about Kubiak now and in the history he's had, from Minnesota to Denver and back to Minnesota, and then now to the San Francisco 49ers. And I think specifically when I look at the game, I think my biggest takeaway offensively for the Niners had nothing to do with the passing game. It was the running game early, like how much they had the running game going. And then the Chiefs kind of put the clamps down, started to stop the run, and the Niners had to then throw the ball. And Purdy had a nice day, not a great day, a nice day. Most of what they do is putting the quarterback in situations to have success. He was 23 of 38 for 255 yards, a touchdown, no picks. He was sacked once. He was pressured 11 times, which really was the underlying story of the ballgame, was how many times the Chiefs put pressure on Purdy and forced rush throws, including a couple of times specifically where the Niners had receivers open in the end zone and Purdy couldn't get him the ball because Chris Jones was bearing down on him. So that was a huge part of the game, but Purdy's rating was 89.3. His QBR was 69.8. So it was just good. It wasn't great, but like San Francisco didn't lose the game because of Brock Purdy, but you could look specifically at Patrick Mahomes at times in that ball game and say he made the plays that you needed your superstar to make. 3rd and 4, and he made them with his feet. 3rd and 4 around left end when he took on 2 defenders right at the line to gain. The 4th and 1 play where they ran the zone read to the right side, he kept it and darted up the middle for 12, 13 yards. Patrick Mahomes made those plays when he had to. He wasn't flawless, but in crunch time when you had to have it, the best player in the NFL made those plays like Patrick Mahomes did, and Brock Purdy isn't that. There was a couple of nice plays he made. The 4th down completion to Kittle was a clutch play. It was a really good call and put the ball right on him as he had to. The 3rd and 2 in overtime, I thought was a huge play when he found Brandon Ayuk on the left sideline. I mean, that was a beautiful throw on the sideline in a small window and got it. It made the right read, made the right throw, and it was perfect. There were some of those, but I think you look and you say, okay, well, with Klint Kubiak coming in, how much can he elevate what the Saints are? And yes, I absolutely believe a lot of the things we talk about with the Niners and with Kubiak, Shanahan, the motion and all that sort of stuff that differentiates what San Francisco is offensively, the things that Mike McDaniel and Bobby Slowick and a lot of these coaches have tried to take and implement in their own offenses as they move forward. I think that's going to modernize the Saints. It's going to reinvent the Saints, certainly. But ultimately, what this Saints team is going to need more than scheme from Klint Kubiak is players. I mean, yes, I'm very, very much in favor of this hire. As we've talked about, I think Klint Kubiak is exactly the direction that the Saints needed to go for an offensive coordinator. They got younger, innovative, new ideas outside of what their norm had been. I'm for that, very much so. But more than anything, more even than a new offensive coordinator, the Saints need players. They need better players at every spot on the offense. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers had 4 first-team All-Pro members on their offense. Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle, Trent Williams. 4 first-team All-Pros. And Brandon Ayuk was second-team All-Pro. That's 5. You had 5 All-Pros on this offense, and I didn't even mention Deebo Samuel, who has been an All-Pro in his career. So for the Saints, I'm excited about Kubiak bringing ideas in, but this offseason for New Orleans is going to be far more about how you get younger and more talented on the offensive side of the ball. You're stuck with Derek Carr, and you know how I feel about that. I don't need to go down that road again. But y'all, you saw the impact Christian McCaffrey had on that Super Bowl. First player in the history of the Super Bowl to have 80 yards receiving and rushing in the same game. The fumble was brutal, but the touchdown catch was awesome. The running back index over at NFL Media at NFL.com, their metric, ranked Alvin Kamara 30th this year. And you could say, well, who cares about what a computer says? Maurice Jones-Drew, who's a good running back in his own right, ranked all of the NFL running backs, and he had Alvin Kamara 30th. You've got an aging running back. You've got a bad offensive line. You've got a mediocre quarterback. Michael Thomas isn't going to be back. I mean, I just mentioned George Kittle was first-team All-Pro this year at tight end. You've got Foster Moreau, Juwan Johnson, who certainly did not produce at the level we had sort of hoped or expected relative to what the Saints invested in them. So I don't know if the thought is, hey, just bringing in Klint Kubiak is going to make the Saints offense look like the Niners offense, because the biggest difference is you don't have the 6 All-Pros on the offensive side of the ball that they do. You got to get younger and you got to get better, and that's going to be a huge impetus for this team in free agency and the draft. You've got to get better on the offensive line. You hope Kendre Miller can really emerge at running back and give you that versatile threat. You got to get another receiver in the room. Chris Olave is fantastic, and Rashid Shaheed's a game breaker, but you need more guys you feel like you can count on. Maybe it's A.T. Perry, maybe it's not. What do you do at tight end? Is Brock Bowers there at 14 when you pick? If so, that's awesome, because then you have a guy you feel can produce like Kelsey or Kittle, that type of versatile tight end who can be a dynamic a dynamic presence in the passing game, but also can be an inline blocker if you need to put his hand in the dirt and be physical. So, yeah, I mean, there are opportunities for this team, and I'm excited about Kubiak, but they got to improve their talent because that, more than anything, is what's going to get them to where they want to be offensively if it's being a competitive team again in the scheme of competing for a championship, to get to the playoffs and be a championship caliber team. All right, it's after further review. We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit. I've had the great pleasure now for weeks to tell you about First South Farm Credit. If you are thinking about buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. That's land for recreational property, your hunting property. That's for farm and agriculture. If you want to buy a piece of property to build your family's dream home, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. And I've told you that since 1916, more than 100 years, First South Farm Credit has been our first option for Louisianians looking to buy land. But I'm going to start telling you reasons why. Part of it is their patronage refund. Because First South Farm Credit is owned by their members, they share their profit with their borrowers. So every year, their borrowers get a patronage refund. You get a dividend check just for being a member owner at First South Farm Credit. It's kind of incredible. FirstSouthLand.com. That's FirstSouthLand.com. If you're even thinking of buying land, your first call needs to be to First South Farm Credit. Go to FirstSouthLand.com. That's FirstSouthLand.com. Okay, y'all, it's after further review. We will go around the SEC here in just a smidge. LSU basketball lost to Alabama on Saturday. Quick turnaround as they're on the road against Florida tomorrow. So we will get to that a little bit. The numbers are in as far as the betting side of Super Bowl 58. And sports books took a little bit of a hit with the Chiefs winning and the overhitting, but overhitting for most people, I should say. But still a profitable Super Bowl for the sports books. We'll get to some of that. And Teddy Cahill will be with us, National College Baseball writer, 30 minutes from right now. It's opening week of college baseball, so we'll start to lay the groundwork for that. And also, before we get out of here, coming up in hour 3, I do want to talk about some comments Cam Jordan made during Super Bowl week or over this weekend that have gotten a lot of attention, calling for what he described culture shock in New Orleans. We'll get to that a bit later in the show. We're glad you're here. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
All right, y'all. The weather's just odd. It stormed last night. And it's supposed to get cold again today. But regardless of what the weather's doing, this is the time of year to just plant something. This is the time of year to go see our friends at Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations, Clegg's has got an amazing selection of what? Selection of everything. Whatever you're looking for, they do a great job of posting whenever they get new shipments in, and they get shipments darn near every day. So go follow them on Facebook if you don't already. Make sure you've liked their Facebook page and you're following there so you can get all the notifications. But look, if it's rose bushes, they've got over 80 varieties of rose bushes. If it's fruit trees, you want a backyard orchard, they can do that for you. They've got Boston fern hanging baskets. If you want to start gardening, they've got Johnny Naylor seeds. If you're starting to see weeds pop up, they can help you by spraying now with a lot of their products. Go see them today at Clegg's Nursery.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends April 30th, 2024.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Brian Kelly lost a member of his support staff on Monday. Shout out John Bryce over at Football Scoop was the first to have it. Notre Dame is hiring Harris Biven, who will be a senior offensive analyst for Mike Denbrock there in South Bend. Harris Biven is one of those guys that is kind of perceived as the sort of the rising star among the off-field support staff. He was a FCS All-American at Murray State and is bounced around a little bit. He was the general manager at Missouri State. Before that, he was the offensive line coach at Morehead State. He was the OC in the JUCO rank at Fort Scott Junior College and was the running game coordinator at Dodge City Community College. So that's a guy who, even though he's young, has bounced around a good bit as he's climbed the ranks in the coaching circles. Was at LSU this year, obviously as a support staff member, working alongside Mike Denbrock, and then now is headed to join Mike Denbrock in South Bend as part of that offensive staff. So LSU down one support staff member there. Harris Biven is leaving LSU to go join Mike Denbrock in South Bend. All right, we're going to go around the SEC in just a quick second. Real quick, y'all. Last night's weather was horrendous. I'm sure many of you saw, felt, experienced that. And, of course, I tell you every day, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. That's me and Terrio and Richard Tilley and our whole gang. Joe Morales, Scott Barnes. If so many of the areas on the hail map that we've been looking at today, Prairieville, Denham Springs, Oak Hills, Shenandoah. Look, you know, if you had heavy rain last night, high wind, hail, there's a real good chance you had roof damage. Our crews are already out. Free, no obligation roofing inspection. The thing I always encourage you, though, is call a local company. I'm going to give you our local phone number in Baton Rouge, the greater Baton Rouge area. It's 364-1007, 364-1007. 364-1007, or you can go to HudcoRoofing.com or call locally, again, 364-1007. The thing that I just encourage it, even if you don't call us, even if you don't call Hudco, just make sure you call a local company. The thing that I heard today from all of our crews that were out is the door knockers and the out-of-towners are out and about. And the worst thing that you can do, and I think everybody knows this intuitively, but sometimes you just think about, you know, who's going to be there first, who could do it the quickest, who was there before the storm, who will be there after the storm. Meaning if someone comes and you hire someone to come fix your roof and they're an out-of-towner and they're gone in a few weeks, and you have an issue, who do you call? What are you going to be able to find them, track them down? Hire a local company always that was here before the storm and will be here after the storm. We'd love it if you call us, Hudco Roofing, 364-1007, 364-1007. Again, this is in the 225-364-1007 or HudcoRoofing.com. But whatever you do, make sure you take care of yourself and your family and your property and hire a local company. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. Okay, we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Alabama Crimson Tide.
It happened. It happened. You know where Ryan Grubb was on Wednesday?
Where?
He was at an event for the Red Elephant Club inside of Bryan Dennehy Stadium in Tuscaloosa. And you know what he said?
What's that?
Quote, this is Wednesday, 5 days ago. Quote, I'm Ryan Grubb. I'm your new offensive coordinator.
Makes sense. He was hired to do that job, yeah.
Yeah. Ryan Grubb's not their offensive coordinator. He's the offensive coordinator now officially of the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know if I have it in me, Muse. I don't know if I have it in me.
Yeah, you do.
I yelled at T-Bob last night. My voice was almost gone. I feel fortunate to have woken up this morning able to speak words without my voice cracking. If we go down this path, it's only Monday.
It's true. Long way to go. Somebody else could leave Alabama later this week, and you have to do it again.
Here's hoping. Also saw over the weekend, 33 players. Alabama's 30-day portal window closed. 33 players left Alabama out of the transfer portal. 33. That's almost half their scholarship players left via the portal. And the best part of all of it, the Alabama fans just don't get that I am trolling the ever-living hell out of them. They just don't understand it. Do you know how many Alabama fans were in my mentions on Saturday after the basketball game when Alabama beat LSU? So naturally, how I replied is, oh, I guess Bama's a basketball school now.
Nate Oates is the guy.
How the mighty have fallen. Wait till he leaves after this season. Don't worry, Bama baseball's right around the corner. I'm sure that's going to go great for you.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah, I just didn't have it to go all the way. My voice isn't there. It's not there. And we already kind of did the Grubb thing when it was percolating. I could have waited. But don't worry. I'm certain they'll give me more reason to do it again soon. And maybe after my voice is feeling better. All right, Kentucky's targeting Boise State offensive coordinator Bush Hamdan. Bush Hamdan. Bush. First name Bush, B-U-S-H, Bush Hamdan, to be the new offensive coordinator. He does have SEC experience, spent some time at Missouri, has been an OC at Boise State and Washington prior. He was at Washington under Chris Peterson. Hamdan replaces Liam Cohen, who left Kentucky to be the OC of the Bucks.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Matt Zenitz over at 247 Sports is reporting Tennessee is losing their running backs coach to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jerry Mack is leaving Knoxville. He's been there for a couple of seasons. In his first season in 22, they went from 84th to 11th in the country in rushing. Prior to that, Mack had been at Rice as the offensive coordinator. He'd been at NC Central, South Alabama, Memphis, Pine Bluff, Central Arkansas, Jackson State, Delta State, and 5 internships in the NFL. Dude's been all over the place. Now Jerry Mack back to the NFL as the running backs coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And a quick look at the scores from around the conference on the hardwood this past weekend. As we know, LSU fought hard but came up short against Alabama. No, you can leave that going, please. Oh, okay. That was going away. Tennessee fell on the road to A&M in a big way. Aggies 85-69 over the 6th-ranked Tennessee Vols. Florida, they beat 12th-ranked Auburn 81-65. Vanderbilt had a shot against South Carolina on the road but collapsed late. Carolina beats Vandy 75-60. Kentucky loses their 3rd straight home game at Rupp Arena. Gonzaga goes into Lexington and wins 89-85. Arkansas in the win column, 78-75 over Georgia. And Missouri still winless in conference play as Mississippi State blew out Missouri in Como 75-51. There you have it. That is around the SEC. Presented by our friends over at Relief Windows, title sponsor of our Monday shows all throughout the year. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. They are energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. They do it all at Relief Windows. Oh, yes, they do shutters now as well. So if you're going to have custom windows, why not have custom shutters from Relief Windows as well? Windows, door siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. All right, y'all, it is after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. I will circle back and talk a little bit about the LSU basketball. I don't know that there's much to say. The LSU basketball loss at home to Alabama over the weekend. You just lost to a better team on your home floor. And it's going to be tough. We knew this was going to be a tough stretch for LSU, so we'll see if they can get it going here. Or maybe find a way to steal one. I mean, we saw Tennessee lose at Texas A&M, and maybe you can find a way to steal one in this stretch of 5 games that the Tigers have now dropped their first 2. All right, it's after further review. When we come back, we do have betting odds for the Super Bowl next year. I'll tell you where the Saints are. That's next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Opening day at the box is Friday when the Tigers start pummeling an opponent's pitcher, and that skipper takes the long trot out to the mound. That mound visit will be presented by Action Industries. All throughout the year, Action Industries, a great supporter of LSU Athletics, an official supporter of LSU Athletics, and mound visits all season long out at the box will be presented by our friends at Action Industries. Action, INDINC.com. That's Action, INDINC.com. They are currently hiring for all of their construction staff and jobs. If it's A-class carpenters, pipe fitters, heavy equipment operators, 50-ton, 90-ton, 15-ton combo welders, call the hiring office in Geismar, Highway 30 in Geismar, 402-0645, 402-0645, 402-0645 for Action Industries, an official partner of LSU Athletics.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
I'm going to celebrate tonight. I'm going to celebrate at the parade, and then I'm going to do whatever I can to be back in this game next year and trying to go for that three-peat. So it's an ongoing thing in the NFL. I think Tom said it best, is once you win that championship and you have those parades and you get those rings, you're not the champ anymore. You get to come back with that same mentality, and I learned from guys like that have been the greatest of all time at the top of the level. And so that's my mindset, is I'm going to celebrate with my guys because of how we done this, but then we're going to work our way to get back to this game next year.
Chiefs go back-to-back. Trying for a three-peat, something that's never been done before in the history of the NFL. And our friends over at DraftKings already have the Super Bowl odds for next season out. So obviously everyone's going to look at the top and the bottom, and then I want to know where the Saints are. But at the top, they actually have the Niners as the betting favorite at plus 550, followed by the Chiefs at plus 650. So the Ravens, the third best odds at plus 900, followed by the Bills at plus 1,000, Lions, Bengals, Dolphins, Eagles, Packers, Cowboys. That's your top 10. Packers, a little bit of a surprise there to see the Packers among the top 10 betting favorites. Look, they were in the playoffs this year. Obviously made a really strong run at San Francisco out there in the divisional round. So, I mean, you could argue blew that game. But Packers, Cowboys, that's your top 10. Followed by the Texans, Jets. Chargers are a big riser there, obviously with Jim Harbaugh coming aboard. Jacksonville. I kind of look to see, okay, well, where are the Saints? You go to the very bottom. The Panthers are at plus 25,000. And while the Saints aren't plus 25,000, they're plus 8,000. And sometimes the company you keep kind of tells the story. The Saints at plus 8,000 have the same betting odds as the Cardinals and are just better than the Commanders, the Giants, the Patriots, the Raiders, and the Broncos. And then the Titans and Panthers bring up the rear. At plus 8,000, that gives the Saints the 25th best odds to win the Super Bowl. Only Washington, the Giants, the Patriots, the Raiders, Broncos, Titans, and Panthers have worse odds than the Saints do of winning the Super Bowl. So while I think it's pretty cool that the Super Bowl will be back in New Orleans next year, where it should be on a rotating basis with LA, Miami, and maybe a couple of others, put Vegas in there. The odds of the Saints playing in the Super Bowl in the Superdome are not great. And that probably is more telling than anything, because what you're saying there is you're a bottom 5-7 team in the NFL. And, you know, if you're looking at, so another way to say that is you're in the bottom quadrant of the league. You know, if you split the league into top 8, then your middle, next tier into tiers, right? I mean, it's 32 teams. So into quadrants, you're in the bottom quadrant, is what the odds makers are saying for next year. Long way to go for this team to get back to, I wouldn't just say respectability, because I would say they're there. I mean, you had a winning record this year, but to where you can actually be a contender, a contending team It just doesn't feel like they're close. That could change with what you do in free agency and the draft to couple that with what you did on the coaching staff this year. And I think you still feel like you're going to be a good defense because Dennis Allen is a good defensive coordinator, and you'll be a respectable defense. But I guess I could think back to the back-to-back-to-back 7-9 seasons, and in 2017, you made that giant push forward on the back of the draft that you had. You need that. I don't know any other way to say it. I mean, you were back-to-back-to-back 7-9 seasons in 14, 15, 16. There was a lot of conversation about if Drew Brees was done, should the Peyton Brees era be over, and they hit on that draft in 17, and it catapulted, it propelled that run of winning the division and going to the playoffs each year until 2020. You were the 1 seed in 2018. I mean, that's what this team needs. I'm not saying it's going to be enough to get you there, but it's the only way with your cap situation to get into that type of situation with your roster is where you have young talent, young starters on rookie deals. So you got to go find a Kamara and a Ramczyk and a Lattimore and a Hendrickson. You got to do it in this draft if you want to get close. Super Bowl 59, February the 9th. 2025, the Fox logo is awesome. I actually think the logo that Fox did with the Mardi Gras color fleur-de-lis in the Fox logo, I actually think that logo is better than the actual Super Bowl logo, but in the event. All right, Teddy Cahill. Let's talk some LSU baseball when we come back. It's AFR. All right, we're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com, with offices not only across the state of Louisiana, but offices all over the country with 30 offices.
AFR.
With 30 offices across 11 different states. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Remember, if you weigh or measure something, they sell, service, rent the products that you use to weigh and measure. Go to the website, tell you all the time. It's a great resource. Hit the services tab right there, and you can see all of the services that they offer. You can request a quote. If you want to ship your equipment to Michelli because, it's just going to be easier to do it that way, you could do that there. They're ISO 17025 accredited. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. From calibration to preventative maintenance, weighing systems, installation, they do it all at Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Cahill Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 9.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Chiefs, fresh off back-to-back Super Bowl titles, are now focused on winning a 3rd straight, which quarterback Patrick Mahomes said would be legendary. Also said they've got to play their best football. They'll celebrate these next few weeks, then get right back on track. Coach Andy Reid called the prospect of winning 3 straight pretty neat. An admission from multiple 49ers players after the Super Bowl LVIII loss that they were not aware of the overtime rules. Last night was the first Super Bowl played under the new playoff OT rules that ensured both teams get a chance to possess the ball before the game ends. ESPN NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky.
For them to not be in totality prepared for any and everything is a disadvantage. And I'm shocked that Kyle, who I think the world of and who was in an overtime Super Bowl, didn't have that team prepared, at least for the knowledge of it.
Much more on Super Bowl LVIII when ESPN's Herm Edwards joins Freddie and Harry next. UCLA hired former star player, longtime assistant coach Deshaun Foster as its new football coach, gets a 5-year deal, takes over for Chip Kelly, now the offensive coordinator at Ohio State.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Tuesday. Are the Chiefs the clear favorite to three-peat, or will a new challenger emerge? I'll give you my top 5 contenders for next season. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. LSU baseball. First pitch coming up on Friday, 2 o'clock. Season is here, man. Good chance to catch up with Teddy Cahill, national baseball writer for Baseball America, on Twitter at Ted Cahill. Y'all give him a follow. Teddy, we appreciate it as always, man. How are you?
Oh, we're ready to go for opening day. It's hard to believe it's here, though.
I think there's a lot of excitement here on what the Tigers might be able to do. And Baseball America, when you all put out your SEC preview, you actually disagree with the SEC coaches who have Arkansas winning the West and the league. You all have LSU winning the West. I get it. This is a beauty pageant, right? I mean, it's like, do you like blondes or brunettes are both great, but why did LSU get the edge from Baseball America over Arkansas?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really close in both our eyes and the coaches' eyes. I mean, we have LSU 2 in the top 25 and Arkansas 3. So that's how tight this is. But I like the depth that LSU has just all around. I think that you're looking at one of the deepest rotations, one of the deepest bullpens. I think the lineup has incredible depth. and just everything that they can do offensively on the mound. Like I just really like the amount of guys that they can throw at it. And over the course of a long season, I think that stuff really matters. Arkansas has some exceptional star power. Hagen Smith might be the best starting pitcher in the SEC, but I just think that 1 through 35, 1 through 40, whatever it is, LSU has the advantage over anyone in the country.
Do you think for LSU, as best you could tell, the bigger challenge is going to be replacing a guy like Skeens at the front of the rotation, or all of the offensive production that they lost in total with guys like Dylan Cruz, obviously, and Trey Morgan and Braden Joe Bear? I mean, I can run down the list, you know them all, but what's the bigger challenge?
So I don't ever worry about a Jay Johnson offense. It's going to look different, no doubt. Dylan Cruz was, he was the Golden Spikes winner for a reason, and Joe Barron Beloso brought so much experience, and Trey Morgan could do so many different things. I mean, like all the guys that were lost. It's a real thing, but I just don't worry about Jay Johnson offenses. And Skeens was different. There was no pitcher in the country anywhere close to being as good as he was, really. I mean, Rhett Lauder was really good too, but Skeens was just on another level. And so to not have that guy on Friday night, I think is a bigger deal, especially for this specific team.
Who do you think going into the season, if I asked you to pick who's going to be the best pitcher in the SEC, like who would be standing at the end of the year as the SEC pitcher of the year, who would you have your money on?
I think in that SEC preview, I officially picked Hagen Smith. He's the guy that has all the talent you would want. He's got a lot of experience. Arkansas has used him in a variety of ways, but he really settled in as last season went on as being their ace. And, they only picked two starters to the all SEC teams. So obviously Skeens was one of those last year and Smith was the other. So I would lean him. But there are guys like Drew Beam and Carter Holton and Devin Futrell who have a lot of experience. And, sometimes in college baseball, we overlook that kind of thing. But I would go with Hagen Smith.
If Teddy Cahill's our guest, a national baseball writer over at Baseball America on Twitter at Ted Cahill, if the margin there with LSU and Arkansas is really slim in the West, how close really is your top three in the East, where it's Florida, Vandy, Tennessee? It feels like then probably a line drawn there to get to South Carolina and the rest of the division.
Yeah, there's definitely a tier after those top three. So I think Florida is a relatively clear favorite in the East. I have some concerns. They also lost a lot of players from that team that LSU played in the championship series a year ago, but I do think that they're a cut above where Vanderbilt and Tennessee are coming into the season, at least.
Speaking of Tennessee, they went from a couple of seasons ago being one of the best regular season teams we'd ever seen, like literally in the history of the sport. How much of a drop is there with Tennessee from what they were to where they are now, and how legit of a threat are they in the East?
They're real. They did a really good job in the portal, and they needed to because they lost a fair amount of guys. Just about everyone from that team 2 years ago is now gone. Drew Beam was a starter on that team, and there are a couple other guys still a part of the group there. But really, it's completely turned over at this point. With Beam, they've got one of the most experienced starters in the SEC. They're going to have a really powerful offense again. They've done a good job at, last year they had to shuffle the pitching staff in the middle of the season and they got through that and came out better for it and made it to Omaha. So I think that right now they're going to have to reset the pitching staff a little bit again going into this year. But I have confidence that they can do it. I think they're a team that certainly has Omaha aspirations, and it's just going to look a little bit different than it has the last couple of years in terms of the personnel.
Where do you look at nationally, maybe an understated storyline? If we're talking obviously about the SEC, and then I think realignment in the Big 12 is interesting. But where is maybe an underrated storyline nationally that you're interested to see how it plays out?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's understated right now to talk about the Pac-12. So I'll steer away from everything that's going on out there. I do think there's a lot of intrigue in the ACC. Like Wake Forest comes in as the number one team in the country, and I think every poll, and they're the ACC favorites after winning last year. And then after that, it's a lot less settled. And you've got some teams like Miami has a new coach. Florida State's coming off of missing the tournament for the first time in more than 40 years. Louisville's missed the tournament in 2 of the last 3 seasons. So I think there's a fair amount of intrigue in the ACC with some of the, Wake Forest is a usurper in some respects into the powerhouse, the upper echelon of that ACC. And some of those teams that you expect to be at the top consistently, Miami, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Louisville's a little more recent than some of those blue bloods, but those teams are a little bit down. So I find the ACC whole dynamic to be pretty interesting this year.
Where are you going to be opening weekend?
I'm actually headed to see a couple of those teams. I'll be in Tallahassee on opening day, and then Louisville is playing in a tournament in Tampa with UConn and Indiana State and South Florida. So I'll be around in Florida opening weekend.
You like the early season tournaments? LSU's going to head over to Houston and play in that Minute Maid or the Astros Classic, whatever they call it now. You like those events early in the season?
I think they're fun for fans. I think they provide some value to the teams, just in terms of they you aren't getting ready for a series. You have to figure out how to get ready for a different team every day. I personally used to like them a lot more than I do now. It's a lot of baseball at the end of the day. When you sit through 3 or 4 games a day, it's a long day in Houston or in Arlington. But I think fans have a lot of fun with them.
Yeah, Teddy, it's different whenever you're just going to sit back at the ballpark and chug beers all day, as opposed to sitting in the press box writing stories about baseball all day. But either way, it ain't a bad gig if you get paid for it. He's on Twitter at Ted Cahill. Y'all give him a follow. Baseball America, National College Baseball writer. We appreciate it, man. Thank you as always.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Be well. We're brought to you by Pure Restoration, pure-restoration.com. Hey, with all the weather in the area last night, if you had water intrusion, I want you to remember my friends at Pure Restoration. So if you need remediation work, Pure Restoration can help. Look, yes, I tell you all the time, kill mold, remove odor. It's so much more than that. They offer demo, build back if you need it. They have all of those services. And again, Pure Restoration, they are cost-effective and they're more efficient. They can come in, spray their patented non-toxic dry fog, and I say that every day, but I don't want you to miss it when I say it. Patented non-toxic dry fog means they own the IP. Like, they own the patented product. Nobody else can do it. It's Pure Restoration. So, look, there's a big difference between a dry fog and a wet fog for some obvious reasons. You can go read more about it, learn at the website if you want to, or you can just give them a buzz over at Pure Restoration. Pure-restoration.com. That's pure-restoration.com. Or just shoot me a message like so many of you do. Scone, what's the mold thing you always talk about? It's Pure Restoration. All right. Thanks, Teddy Cahill, for a couple of minutes here. I do want to talk. A couple of LSU assistant football coaches got an attaboy from 247 Sports today. I want to talk about that. Sean Payton has made an interesting hire on his coaching staff in Denver that I want to get to, and much more. Fallout feedback from the Super Bowl. We will, at the bottom of this hour, Amuse Pauly and I will go over our preseason predictions. So we'll tell you what we learned from the Super Bowl, and every year, we'll hold ourselves accountable. Every year before season starts, we make our predictions. Division winners, Super Bowl winners, and we'll tell you what we got right and what we got wrong. That's coming up here at the bottom of this hour in about 18 minutes from right now. Glad you're hanging out. Don't you move. It's a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. Stick around.
AFR.
Oh, did you see the Gordon commercials? How about Flaugier with the Get Gordon rap? It was so good, man. You don't hear it? Doggone it. I was trying to play the Get. No, yeah. I think we're buffering. Doggone it. Oh, well. Such is technology when you try to get to it. But anyway, it was awesome. Flaugier was she did a remix of the Get Gordon rap. Naturally, of course, I would try to play it on air, and then it would happen that way. But she did an awesome job. Go check it out on social media if you missed it. We also learned the new name of the third McKernan pup. Rosie is the third pup. Welcome to the fam, Rosie. I was hoping I didn't get it wrong. My cousin has a dog named Roxy, and I was like, wait, is it Roxy or Rosie? I did not have my 5-hour energy today, and my body feels it. My body craves it. Anyway, if you've been injured in an accident and it's not your fault, you know what to do. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Go to getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com. For Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, get Gordon and get it done.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Buyou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Buyou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Buyou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends April 30th, 2024.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, Windows, Doors, Siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
It's kind of odd that every time Sean Payton makes a hire, it feels like it's relevant here. He's hiring so many, former Saints players or coaches, or plucking away players or coaches. This is a former Sean Payton player in New Orleans, but it's a name that I think is going to be intriguing for any college football fan. Dan Graziano over at ESPN, just before the Super Bowl kicked off, tweeted a little pregame non-Super Bowl news. Sources tell me and Jeremy Fowler that Jim Leonhard is expected to join the Denver Broncos staff to coach the secondary. He notes Leonhard is a former NFL DB who's well-regarded in coaching circles, has been talking to several NFL and college teams. So Jim Leonhard back in coaching and is going to be coaching in the NFL. Just the quick thumbnail. Jim Leonhard was a great player at Wisconsin, had a nice NFL career, did have a stop in New Orleans when Sean Payton was the coach, and then got into coaching at his alma mater. He was coaching defensive backs at Wisconsin under Dave Aranda, and then Justin Wilcox. Wilcox left to be the head coach at Cal, or maybe went to Tennessee and then to Cal. Anyway, and when Wilcox left, Leonhard was promoted to defensive coordinator, where he was from 2017 through 2022. When Paul Chryst got fired, Leonhard was the interim head coach And there were a lot of people who wanted or thought he might become the permanent head coach there at Wisconsin. Instead, of course, we know they went a different direction, and they hired Luke Fickell. And Leonard, with the rest of the staff, got fired. So as a strange way to explain it, I know a lot of people wondered like why Brian Kelly came in and fired good coaches. Well, sometimes, as the saying goes, you throw the baby out with the bathwater. That was the case there in Wisconsin. Jim Leonard was a great defensive coordinator, but Fickell brought in his own staff. I mean, think about what Jim Leonard was as the defensive coordinator at Wisconsin. In 4 seasons, they were top 5 in total defense and top 10 in scoring defense 4 consecutive years when Jim Leonard was the DC. Top 5 in total defense, top 10 in scoring each year. And then his first season, by the way, as DC, they were second in total defense and third in scoring defense. First season as DC. He was the interim head coach for Paul Chryst. When Paul Chryst got fired. Fickell comes in, fires the staff, and last year Jim Leonard was an analyst at Illinois under Bielema. I mean, that was one of the more stunning decisions a year ago, was that Jim Leonard didn't become a DC somewhere. Well, 1 year as an analyst at Illinois, and now he's back into the NFL on Sean Payton's staff. Sometimes, Al, maybe this is just like my professional training, but sometimes, if something doesn't seem right, you ask the question why. That's what a journalist does. You ask questions. Why? You always just ask questions and challenge things. Why? Why isn't Jim Leonard a guy who was a Power 5 DC and one of the most successful Power 5 DCs that we've seen? Why isn't Jim Leonard a defensive coordinator in college football or a head coach somewhere? It's a strange thing. How did Jim Leonard land as an analyst last year in Illinois? It's a bizarre thing. And now he's off to the NFL. It can't be for lack of options, considering how many bad coaches, failed coaches, retreads, first-time coordinators get jobs. You're not going to tell me that nobody would hire Jim Leonard as their defensive coordinator. Of course they would. There's something more there. And maybe the something more is that Jim Leonard wants to be in the NFL instead of college. That would actually make sense if that's the explanation. I'll be fascinated to hear that explanation if and or when we get it. Maybe it'll just be one of those things that time will tell. If Jim Leonard he's going to Denver to coach under Sean Payton as the secondaries coach for the Broncos, maybe this is going to be one of those indicators where he just stays in the NFL for the next 20 years. And maybe that's where he wants to be and where he's suited to be. But having played in the NFL, he certainly knows the cultural differences between college lifestyle, NFL lifestyle, and maybe it's something where he just wants to be in the NFL and was pursuing that opportunity, and he got it in Denver. But it's really perplexing that someone with a track record of Jim Leonard, you all know it. I don't know how, when LSU fired Matt House and everyone throws out their short list, names, candidates, whatever. How many of you inundated me with the name Jim Leonard? You're not wrong. I'd have been thrilled if they'd hired Jim Leonard. It was just a very obvious name. He was one of the most successful and celebrated defensive coordinators. And to see him go from that to analyst at Illinois, now position coach in the NFL, it feels like he was intentionally willing to take 1 or 2 steps back to put him on the path to go forward. And time will tell if that's actually what he's looking to do. But Jim Leonard in the NFL now as Sean Payton's secondary coach there in Denver. Okay, it's after further review. A couple of LSU assistants, football assistants, got some bouquets from 247. I want to get to that here in just a quick second. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. Dropped off my V-Dub today, y'all. A couple weeks ago, told you I was driving down I-10. A piece of tread. The 18-wheelers have that tread that sometimes just spins off. It's on the side of the road. A car rolled over a piece of tread. It popped straight up in the air about 20 feet. Boom! Landed on my hood, double bounce, landed on my windshield, rolled off the back. It looks like I got in a wreck. So brought my car into the body shop today, and when I was going to the rental department to get my car, they had a Ford, they had a Jeep, and they were like, which one do you want, the Ford or the Jeep? And this is an honest to goodness true story, hand on Bible, lying I'm dying, swear on everything. as the guy's telling me that, another car comes around the curb, and they just run through the car wash, and it was a Volkswagen Taos. And I was like, can I drive the V-Dub? He's like, yeah, you can. So I took that. I'm driving a black Volkswagen Taos because I know it's not my vehicle. It's a rental, and I'll have it until I get mine back. But I had the option, and I chose the Volkswagen because I know they're the safest vehicles on the road. And I'll have Drew in that car with me until I get my car back, and I always want to be in one of the safest vehicles on the road. South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highlander, southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? I think we all know that LSU has assembled a great staff of recruiters, and they deserve all the bouquets that they're getting and are going to get because, when you assemble a top 10 class and now you already have the running start that you do for 2025, you're going to get a lot of as they say, right, to the victor go the spoils. Well, 247 Sports put out their ranking of the top 10 recruiters in college football, and there are 2 LSU assistants on the list. Frank Wilson comes in on the list. Again, this is in all of college football. Top 10 recruiters in the country. They got Frank Wilson, number 8, crediting him with 9 commitments responsible for in the 2024 class. And then one spot behind Frank Wilson is Joe Sloan at number 9 on the list. So in the top, 247 Sports lists their ranking of the top 10 recruiters in college football. They got Frank Wilson, number 8, and Joe Sloan, number 9. A couple of takeaways. So I do want to run through the list real quick. Not that we need to get bogged down on this, but just I want to run through the list because this will be evidence of the point I'm making. So number 1 on the list was Fran Brown, who is Georgia's defensive backs coach who just left to join the staff at Syracuse. Number 2 on the list is Holman Wiggins, the Alabama wide receivers coach who left for Texas A&M. He's followed by Marcus Davis, the Auburn wide receiver coach. You can leave it there, Paul. By Marcus Davis, the Auburn wide receiver coach. Jason Taylor, Pro Football Hall of Famer Jason Taylor, who's the Miami defensive line coach. They have him at number 4. Al Washington, Notre Dame's defensive line coach, number 5. Junior Adams, who's the Oregon wide receiver coach, got him at 6. One spot before the LSU guys is Trey Scott, the Georgia defensive line coach. Then, as we mentioned, Frank Wilson, 8. Joe Sloan, number 9. And then rounding out the top 10 is Vince Morrow, the assistant head coach at Kentucky. So that's your top 10. There's only 2 schools, if you caught this, there's only 2 schools that had 2 assistants on the list, LSU and Georgia. But what's worth noting is that the number one on the list is Fran Brown, the Georgia defensive backs coach, who's not even at Georgia anymore. He's at Syracuse. So really, Trey Scott from Georgia, their defensive line coach, is the only Georgia coach on the list. So not only is LSU the only school with 2 coaches on the list currently, but consider Fran Brown left Georgia for Syracuse. So he's out of the SEC altogether. And then number 2 on the list was Holman Wiggins, who left Alabama. For Texas A&M. So not only, obviously, is LSU's staff, the staff that Brian Kelly has assembled, a great staff of recruiters, but you look at the rankings since Brian Kelly has been here, like the composite rankings. In 2022, Kelly's first class ranked 12th. In 23, they ranked 6th in the composite. This year, they ranked 7th. So you went from 12th to 6th, 7th, and boom, as you look ahead to 2025, you're the consensus number 1 class for 2025 with a long way to go, but trending toward that. And then 26 is the bumper crop year in Louisiana, where 3 of the top players in the country, 3 of the top 5 players in the country are from Baton Rouge and New Orleans. So you're well on your way if you continue to put that fence around Louisiana to maintaining that and building upon the success they've already had. But congrats to Joe Sloan and Frank Wilson on the 247 Sports list of the top 10 recruiters in the country, and they deserve it for the job they've done already. Okay, it's After Further Review. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows. You can always email us, tweet us, text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. We'll knock out a break. When we come back, we'll do what we learned before every game weekend. Muse, Paulie, and I tell you the things we're watching. We come back on Monday, tell you what we learned, and we'll also go over our preseason predictions. So we'll revisit our preseason NFL predictions of division winners, AFC, NFC champ, and Super Bowl winners. So we'll get to that when we come back. We're glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Well, wait a day. The weather will change. That'll determine whether or not you're cranking up your AC or your heater. But, it was a week ago. We were in freezing temps, and then over the weekend, yesterday, it was in the 70s. It's in the 70s again today right now, as a matter of fact. It's actually 55, thankfully, a little cooler. But in any event, if you have issues with your home central heater or your AC, River City's 1 Hour Air can help. Give them a buzz, 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. That's ONE, 1hourbr.com. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Tell you all the time, look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. You can't miss it. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. You'll see them all over your neighborhood. You'll see them at red lights. You'll see them down Highland Road, Airline Highway, I-10. You'll see them all over town because your friends and neighbors trust River City's 1 Hour Air the same way that I do. Give them a buzz. Read the reviews online. 752-0001 for River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 Black Widow trucks, $20,000 off new Ram 1500 trucks, and all new Buyou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Buyou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like Hudco, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
We're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company, located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com, or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
This February, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust are here to offer you a holiday rebate to the tune of $1,000 in a cash prize. Signing up is as simple as heading to 1045ESPN.com. It's our annual holiday rebate gift to you from Citizens Bank and Trust and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Got a text into the show, which said, why would Chip Kelly leave a head coaching position to be an offensive coordinator? Isn't that a demotion? It was from Devin. We talked about it last week. And by the way, 1 hour from right now, we are going to go out to Westwood. Bryan Fenley will join us. He's part of the UCLA radio network. And this is relevant here, obviously, because LSU plays UCLA on September the 21st in Tiger Stadium. So we are going to follow both USC and UCLA this offseason because LSU plays both of them. I talked about it last week and kind of did a deep dive into it. I'm curious Bryan Fenley's take on it is not only is Chip Kelly gone, but UCLA has now hired their new head coach. It's Deshaun Foster, by the way. If you remember, like Deshaun Foster was a great running back at UCLA. Like he's in their Hall of Fame. He played for the Panthers for a lot of years. Played the Super Bowl with the Panthers, as a matter of fact. But has been on staff at UCLA in a variety of positions for like a decade now, and he's been promoted to head coach. Why would Chip Kelly leave? My best guess, if I'm just going to summarize it, is, and he's going to take a significant pay cut. He's making $6 million at UCLA, and he'll probably make in the neighborhood of $2 million at Ohio State as the offensive coordinator. Well, a couple things. Number one, does Chip Kelly feel like he's done all he can do at UCLA? Maybe. And if that's part of it, and you don't feel like you're getting the support to do more, then why do you stay? And we talked about it last week as well, where UCLA is 95th in the country. This is before Chip Kelly left, remember. 95th in the country in returning production. So you had back-to-back-to-back winning seasons. You lose you're 95th in returning production. Now, and you're going into the Big Ten. So you were going to have a really tough time replicating that success. One of the guys you lost was Dante Moore, the five-star quarterback that you had signed a year ago. So I think Chip Kelly saw the writing on the wall. And as far as the financial part of it, $6 million is awesome, but $6 million in Los Angeles ain't as awesome as $2 million in Columbus, Ohio. Not only that, but remember, Chip Kelly got buyouts from both the Eagles and the 49ers. And while we don't know exactly, what that number is, like, I mean, Chip Kelly don't have to work. When you got 2 NFL buyouts from the Eagles and the 49ers, like, you do an eye. So I don't think the financial component of it is as big of a deal as we might think is. I'm not saying leaving $4 million on the table is insignificant. It is, but it's less significant probably to someone like Chip Kelly. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. All right, let's do this. Can we get some NFL music, Muse? Before the season starts every year, Muse, Paulie, and I, in every sport, by the way, we go through our preseason predictions, and we come back after the season. Let's do some NFL music. It's not. Oh, what? Words.
I'm getting it. I didn't want nothing playing, so okay. I was filler.
Good filler music. Filler music until the actual music. You know that's like in Christmas Vacation. Get me someone, anyone, and get me someone while I'm waiting.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
What I was going for.
You were getting me someone while I was waiting.
I didn't want dead air.
You were just. Well, it would have been dead air. I would have continued talking.
You know what I mean, though.
There wouldn't have been dead air.
I know, but
you said, "I'll give me a second. I'll get you your NFL music."
Here we go.
I like this one.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Good. Okay, Paulie, let's do the honors here. So, how did you break down the graphic? Are we going division winners, or do you have the whole thing in one?
Yeah, so I put the NFL results at the bottom.
Okay.
And then I started off with just our AFC picks, and then I'll throw in the NFC picks and then our Super Bowl picks.
Okay, all right, let's do it. Let's start with the AFC. Who had what? All right, so the AFC. So we went north, south, east, west. Okay, so in the AFC North, we all had the Cincinnati Bengals, and we were all dead wrong.
Oh, my bad.
Yes. Obviously, the Baltimore Ravens won the North and were the 1 seed. In the South, Paulie and I had the Titans. That was not correct. Muse had Jacksonville, which was also not correct. It was the Houston Texans, which were a surprise division winner there. In the West, Muse and I had the Chefs, which did, in fact, hit. So we got something right. Paulie had the Chargers, and they were not good, and they fired their coach. Paulie, what do you have to say for yourself?
Yeah, I missed on that one.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so Paul got none of them right. Muse and I got the Chiefs right. As for the wild card, I went with Buffalo, which was correct.
No, they won the division, I thought. Buffalo, right?
Oh, Buffalo did win the division, but they made the playoffs.
Yes. So we had that, too. Did we do the East? I think we missed the East.
Oh, I skipped the East. Okay, so yes, my bad.
I was like, wait a minute.
I was about to say, okay, I had Miami winning the East.
Which?
And what?
You were close.
I know it was close. And that Miami was my surprise team. I had one more that I remember as well that we're going to get to here in the wild card in a second. But I had Miami, which didn't. You both had Buffalo, which did. So obviously it was very close. Both teams finished 11-6, but Buffalo won the tiebreaker. So you win, I lose. All right, wild card. I had Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Denver as the wild card teams. The wild cards were Miami, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. So I had one of the three. Paulie had Miami, Baltimore, and Kansas City. So all were playoff teams. You just got them kind of out of order there. But Paulie did get one of the wild card teams right. And Muse had Jacksonville, Miami, and Pittsburgh. So you did have two of the three wild card teams there. Muse. All right, let's look at the NFC if we could, Paulie. All right. In the Norris, Paulie and I had the Lions, and Muse had the Vikings. And, of course, Paulie and I were right, as the Lions did win the division. We all had the Saints in the NFC South because we are all unapologetic homers, and we were all dead wrong. What do we have to say for ourselves there?
I mean, they should have won the division, but yeah. They were the best team on paper.
They finished tied with Tampa at 9-8.
Yeah.
And each won a game against each other. But I can't say that the Saints should have won the division. I think Tampa actually, by the end of the season, was playing better than New Orleans. Tampa had better quarterback play. That's
for sure.
That is objective fact. Baker Mayfield played better than Derek Carr did this year. We all had the Eagles in the East, and we were all dead wrong. That was Dallas. And in the West, I had San Francisco. You two jokers had the Seahawks. Idiots. What do you have to say for yourself?
Well, I didn't believe in Brock Purdy.
That was my biggest question, too.
I think we also kind of didn't know if Brock Purdy was going to be back from his elbow injury and what degree. And I think my answer was probably, I think I could play quarterback and go to the Super Bowl with that team, which might have actually worked.
Yeah.
All right, wild cards. I had Dallas. Can you get a ding, please?
Well, they won the division.
Dang it, they did. I did that twice. We did Buffalo and Dallas. Okay.
Yeah.
What did I'm looking? Minnesota and Seattle. Okay. Paulie, I am not following your graphic really at all. I'm sorry. This is very confusing. Okay, so wild cards were Philly, Green Bay, and the Rams. Okay, so I got none of them. Paulie had Dallas, San Francisco, and Minnesota. He got none of them. And Muso had Dallas, San Francisco, and Atlanta, so you had none of them. I think what this exercise proves is that we don't know anything. And you should not listen to us at all. And candidly, I say that every week. You should all listen to Jimmy Ott's Football Sunday and just bet what all of them bet. All right, let's go to the Super Bowl picks. We all had the same. I do remember this.
Yes.
We all had the same Super Bowl pick. We all picked the Bengals against the Eagles. We were all just drinking the Joe Burrow Kool-Aid. And, of course, Joe Burrow got hurt. The Bengals stunk. The Eagles looked like the best team in football for much of the season and faded down the last quarter of the season, and it didn't really go well. So we were all dead wrong. Not even close. Chiefs-Niners, of course, with the Kansas City Chiefs winning their second consecutive Super Bowl. Or why don't we all just go ahead and pick Mahomes right now for next year?
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
You in?
I guess. Yeah, I mean.
Paul, you in?
It's no fun, though.
Well, what I never want to do is, and I feel like we did it there with Philly, is I don't want to, follow the trend. You know, I don't want to buy high. You want to buy low, sell high. And I feel like with Philly, we bought high, right? Like they went to the Super Bowl, like, oh, young quarterback, good coach, they'll be back. And for 2/3 of the season, they were. I mean, they looked like the best team in the NFL for much of the season. And then, boy, they just stunk. Would they lose 6 of their last 7?
Yes,
something
indeed,
like that?
yeah. And also, they drafted really well going into the offseason. Like, it looked like they got better off the Super Bowl team, too, man.
They got Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
They stole Jalen Carter.
They number 9 overall. Yeah, that was ridiculous. So, I mean, it just, you know, it looked like they were so good that year. Now they're better potentially, and their defense was just really bad, actually.
They got Eli Ricks as an undrafted free agent who made the team. Yeah. Paulie, what about you? What do you have to say for yourself?
I'll do better next year.
No, none of us will. We know that. We know that to be true. If we pick your team to win the division of the Super Bowl, they're screwed. And we jinxed ourselves with the Saints as well. They tied Tampa at 9-8 and didn't make the playoffs. All right. It's after further review. I got a quick break, y'all. We'll come back. You used to have Tigers in the pros. Cam Jordan did, by the way. He was on the Around the NFL podcast, and he made a pretty bold statement about the culture in New Orleans. I want to talk about that in about 15 minutes. We're glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. You know where to find them. Agent225.com. Agent225.com. The bottom line is Darren James on the Wall Street Journal is listed the top 1% of realtors in America. Top 1% of realtors in America. And now you get all the benefit of LPT Realty. That's LPT stands for Listing Power Tools. All the marketing, all the consultation, all the collaboration. And that is in part why LPT Realty is the fastest growing real estate company ever. And they're welcoming Reagan Klein, the newest member of the LPT Realty family. So Darren James and Associates welcomes Reagan Klein to LPT Realty. They've gone from 1 to 8,000 realtors in 1 year. It's incredible to see the growth. It's Darren James and Associates with LPT Realty. Agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Cahill Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Musso has Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Congratulations to a pair of former Tigers, now Super Bowl champions. Well, Clyde actually is now 2-time Super Bowl champion. Shout out. And Neil Farrell last night, man, as well, gets ring number 1. Clyde only listed as having 1 touch in the ball game. Neil Farrell, I actually kind of surprised at this. His official stats in the game is 1 tackle and 1 pass defense, but it felt like Neil Farrell was around the football an awful lot last night in that game for the Kansas City Chiefs. Nonetheless, 2 more former Tigers can add their name into a long list that keep garnering Super Bowl championships.
Cahill!
All right, yes.
Clyde, state champ.
Yeah.
National champ.
Yeah.
2-time Super Bowl champ.
How about that, man?
That's all we do.
It's awesome. I'll be interested.
We breed champs at Cahill on Hearthstone Drive, Muse. That's what we do.
Oh, okay.
We hang banners.
Yeah.
We build new trophy cases. That's what we do.
The evidence does support that, yes.
Mhm.
I mean, I was trying to think of some snarky comeback, and the evidence does support that, unfortunately.
And as
yeah.
I continue, unfortunately.
I mean.
And as I continue to tell you all the time, if you're an LSU fan, I don't care if you love Catholic High or don't. There is no shortage of talent coming out of that program.
Pipeline.
Piping it right over. William Schmidt, baseball is the next one. Get ready. Better hope you don't sign a pro contract coming out of high school this year. But you got Shelton Sampson sitting over there. You got Blaine Bradford, who's a top 5 player in the country for 2026. Telling you. Emory Jones out there doing work. Where he went to school?
I've heard of him.
Where did he go to school, Muse?
He went to Catholic High. He did. It's true. All right. Let's head over
Need
to...
to get some basketball players. Won state in basketball last year.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Of course you did. There's just so many of them, Muse. There's so many banners and so many titles and so many trophies. It's easy to forget them. They're everywhere.
Anyway, let's head over to Serbia.
Why would we do that?
Because that's where Javonte Smart
What a
plays
hell of a
basketball
transition.
now.
Let's go to Serbia.
Let's go to Serbia.
Got it.
They're trying to hang banners there. This is just really
the
confusing.
Serbian Basketball Association?
Well, I don't really know what it is, man. That's why it's confusing. It's 3 different leagues that this one team plays in. So this was in the ABA League. There's also the Euro League and one other thing. Not even going to try to pronounce the name of this team, but Javonte Smart had 15 points and 5 rebounds in his latest game. He's coming off the bench for this Serbian team and seems to be playing well. Of course, he started this season in the G League, now has made his way overseas. So we'll keep you posted as much as we can with Javonte Smart. NBA action, one update for you tonight. Tari Eason will miss his 22nd consecutive game of the season. Lower leg injury still bothering him, so he will not face the Knicks tonight. The next opportunity he has to get back on the floor would be Wednesday against the Grizzlies. We'll wrap it up with some golf. Got to throw some bouquets at Sam Burns. Finished tied for 3rd at Waste Management Phoenix Open this week. 18 under par for the 4-round total. That is his 3rd consecutive top 10 on tour. His first top 5 of the season. He's made the cut in all 4 events he's participated in. Doesn't have the win yet this year, but is off to a great start is Sam Burns on the PGA Tour. That's Tigers and Throws.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com. We are 2 days away, gents, from Valentine's Day. Thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. If you're in Baton Rouge, there's 2 locations, Corporate Boulevard in Bocage, and, of course, in the Mall of Louisiana. But there's 10 locations in all across 3 different states. But if you're in Louisiana, it's your 2 Baton Rouge locations, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, or check them online at lmfj.com. Maybe you're thinking of popping the question. If it's getting to be that time, gents, remember, Lee Michaels, only the finest diamonds in the world. You always get the Lee Michaels experience. That means if there's a specific cut or diamond you want, they'll find it. If they don't, they'll make it for you. Yes, they can custom make pieces of jewelry for you, for her, that will thrill her and make you a hero. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Trust the best. lmfj.com. Thrill her with a gift in the red box this Valentine's from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Pelicans are on the floor tonight against Memphis. The Grizzlies are riding a 4-game home losing streak and just 6-6 in division games. Memphis is not good, and they're especially not good against winning teams. Memphis is 9-25 this year against teams with a winning record, and you guessed it, the Pels at 31-22 have a winning record. So New Orleans at home tonight is a 9.5-point favorite. When Otter is with us, and no Ja, when Otter is with us later, I need to get him to clarify the angle he gave us last week. I'm pretty sure he said when it's a team on a long road swing, the first game home, you bet against them. Because we did that on one, like last week, there was a night where we took New Orleans at the Clippers, and it was Detroit at who?
Sacramento, the Kings.
Detroit at Sacramento. And both underdogs won by double digits. So, old betting angle, I want to clarify, because I think that's going to be bad news for New Orleans on Wednesday. 4-game road swing, then they're home against Washington. But I want to clarify, so we'll get to that with Otter Locks next hour. Okay, SportsCenter's coming up. Let's get you caught up on national headlines. Remember, if you miss anything, AFR On Demand, presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. Favorite podcast app, search After Further Review. Go to YouTube, search After Further Review, LSU Saints content. It's all there for you. Cam Jordan was on the Around the NFL podcast and made some pretty bold comments about Saints culture. We'll talk about that when we come back after SportsCenter.
AFR.
Buyou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Buyou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Buyou Ford is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends April 30th, 2024.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. What's better than 2 straight Super Bowl championships? How about 3 in a row? No NFL team has ever done that, and the Chiefs now aiming to become the first. That would be legendary to accomplish that, quarterback Patrick Mahomes said of a possible three-peat. Defensive lineman Eric Armstead among multiple 49ers players who admitted after the Super Bowl loss that they were not aware of new playoff overtime rules. It was on Coach Kyle Shanahan to make sure his players knew of the OT rules changes, says ESPN's Herm Edwards.
This is something you talk about to your team about, and you got to make sure they understand it. And you know, when you discuss this, these discussions happen during the week of preparation, and you actually give them some scenarios and you talk about it. I think you got to make your team aware of that.
Herm Edwards on Carlin versus Joe. Cowboys reached agreement with Mike Zimmer to make the former Vikings head coach their new defensive coordinator. UCLA's hired former star player and longtime assistant Deshaun Foster as its new football coach. Gets a 5-year contract, takes over for Chip Kelly, now the offensive coordinator at Ohio State.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier. They'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR. Presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, man!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Music. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. I know a lot of you maybe have the day off for Lundi Gras or tomorrow for Mardi Gras. Kids are off of school. We're glad to be here. Today we'll be here tomorrow as well for Mardi Gras. So if you're hanging around, if you're going to be on the parade route, take us with you. Got tons to do. It is game week for LSU baseball as they will be playing on Friday at home at 2 o'clock. And now the offseason begins for all the NFL teams as they start their march toward the 2024 season. Of course, Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. We would all love to see the Saints in Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. Weird after it hadn't happened for half a century. It happened back-to-back years with the Bucs in Tampa and the Rams in Los Angeles. But if the Saints are going to do it, boy, they got a heavy lift this offseason. And they've remade the offensive coaching staff, which was a good start. They got a lot of work to do on the roster as well, as we've talked about. You need to remake your offensive line. You need more playmakers. You got to hope Kendre Miller, running back, steps up, or Alvin Kamara drinks from the fountain of youth. You need more production out of your tight end spot. You need some young defenders on defense to keep getting better. There's a reason that the Saints have the 25th best odds to win the Super Bowl next year. It's why they're in the lowest quadrant among NFL teams, according to odds makers. There's a long way for this team to go. But it might not just be coaching and players. There's an intangible that could be missing as well. And you'll take my word for it, although this is something I've talked about a lot. But when I say it, it's one thing. When Cam Jordan says it, it's another. Cam Jordan was a guest on the Around the NFL podcast and talked about the Saints' culture. And that should be a scary thought for anybody.
I've learned to not put my GM hat on. Yeah, I've played this game, and it's never worked out well. I was like, let the up top do what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to want more. If we're 3 years drive of playoffs, and maybe a culture shock needs to happen. I think there's a core group of our players that push positivity and whatever it is. And in fact, I loved our locker room this year. But if our locker room isn't winning at a high rate, things going to have to shake. And one day they're going to be like, hey, Cam, your time, bud. And I'm like, hey, I hope the Saints keep on winning. Whatever it takes, I just want the Saints to win.
Maybe a culture shock needs to happen. We're 3 years dry of the playoffs. Maybe a culture shock needs to happen. Remember late in the season, Cam Jordan made a similar comment about how changes could come at the top. And he backtracked and said what he meant was, was players, even veteran players, not necessarily coaches or front office. Interpret it however you want. But what Cam Jordan just said has been my biggest complaint. And it's not that the complaint is just plucked from the air. Sean Payton, this was such a core ethos of what he built in New Orleans for a decade and a half. And it started the day he showed up. It was culture. And I know that's an intangible, and what does that mean? But when you have it and you know it, you hold on to it. And when you don't, you know it and you find it. When Sean Payton was hired in 2006, there were a lot of entitled veteran players. Dante Stallworth was a first-round pick. He was your best receiver. Sean Payton got rid of him. Wayne Gandy was a veteran player. He was a starting offensive lineman. Sean Payton got rid of him. He wasn't bought in. He's told these stories before. Name names. He had to build culture. We talked to guys like Shanley that talk about those training camps in Millsaps in Mississippi. That was the hardest thing they ever went through. Sean Payton wanted guys that were bought into what they were doing and got rid of the guys that weren't. And they built and they won a Super Bowl and they won a lot of games. And then Bountygate happened in 12 and Payton was back in 13. They had some remnants, but then that fire extinguished. And you had entitled guys that were bad locker room guys, bad culture, and Payton knew it. In 2014, they traded Jimmy Graham. Why? Jimmy Graham was a great player. But he was fighting with the organization over whether he should be franchised as a tight end or a receiver. They traded him. Brought in a center in Max Unger. And got a first-round draft pick as a result for it. Now, they wasted that pick. But still. They cut Junior Gillette. A year after they gave Junior Gillette a giant contract, they cut him. Ate the money. Why? Junior Gillette was a cancer. They traded Kenny Stills. Kenny Stills was such a value pick. They drafted him in the 5th round. He became a really good starting player for you. But he's a bad locker room guy, so they traded him. Brandon Cooks, first-round pick. Traded him. Why? Quiet mouths don't get fed. Gone. Sean Payton had to rebuild the culture. He did it twice. He did it when he was hired. He did it again as they were in the midst of those back-to-back-to-back losing seasons. He knew he had to rebuild that culture. Well, now, as Cam Jordan said, you've been dry from the playoffs for 3 years. In his words, not mine, maybe a culture shock needs to happen. The most confusing or conflicting part about what Cam Jordan said in there is where he said, I loved our locker room this year. But if our locker room isn't winning at a high rate, things are going to have to shake, period. That has been my point all along. That is my biggest complaint. The culture is eroding or has eroded. Dennis Allen's a substitute teacher. They don't respect him. You can love your head coach. You can love the guys in the locker room. But can you win in that culture? Bill Belichick didn't have great interpersonal skills. Doesn't. I'm not trying to say you're building on the greatest coach ever, but the point is the guy who is unanimously considered the greatest coach ever, won 6 Super Bowls, did it a different way, but it was the Patriot way that people always talk about. He got guys that were bought into what they were doing. You don't have that in New Orleans. You got Dennis Allen, who's going to call out his own players for scoring a touchdown against the Falcons at the end of the season, publicly call out his own players. Never mind the fact that your players didn't respect you enough to not run the play. It's all the stuff we're talking about. Derek Carr, there's no accountability with Derek Carr. How do you respect that guy at the front when there's no accountability? Time and again, he makes a mistake. He half accepts the blame and then pawns it off or excuse makes. Mickey Loomis, there's no fear of attribution. I'm not saying you should go to work fearing for your job. Or retribution, I should say, not attribution. There's no fear of retribution. You shouldn't go to work afraid, but you should be held accountable when you don't do well. And there's no consideration of that with Mickey Loomis. That's the problem. You got a head coach that they don't respect. You got a GM that doesn't fear any retribution whatsoever. And you got a locker room that all like each other, but they know they're not going to be held accountable by their head coach. There's no accountability. So why change? That's the problem. And maybe what you need here is someone like Cam Jordan. Not someone like Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan. Just step up and say, maybe what we need is culture shock. Maybe that will be the wake-up call for this organization. I don't know if it will, but maybe it will be. But you got to cut out the cancer. It's the only way to get rid of it. You got to go cut it out. Find the cancerous pockets in your locker room, on your roster, in your front office, and get them out. Now, the biggest problem, I think, are the two guys that are in charge, Dennis Allen and Mickey Loomis. I think they are the two biggest problems. Not that they're bad guys. They just don't know how to win. I mean, who in this locker room knows how to win? Look at the Saints roster. Used to be filled with guys that had been to the Super Bowl, played a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl. Certainly the head of the snake was Drew Brees, who knew how to get there. Is Tyrann Mathieu the only guy on this roster that's won a Super Bowl? I scanned it earlier today. Unless if there's something I'm missing where somebody was, a practice squad guy somewhere down the line and happened to be on a team that won, maybe. But being an impactful guy on a team that won a Super Bowl, I think Tyrann Mathieu is the only guy. You need a roster of winners, man. Go draft winners. Go draft dudes from Georgia and Michigan. Go draft dudes that have won championships, that know what it's like and have the expectation of winning championships. Not me saying it. Finally, it's not me just yelling about it. It's Cam Jordan yelling about it. You got a problem with it? Go talk to Cam Jordan. We're Cam Jordan. is talking about needing a culture shock within this organization. Y'all can throw darts at me all you want. Oh, you're a hater. You're not really a Saints fan. Shut up. Go tell that to Cam Jordan. I hope it comes this offseason. Because he ain't got many years left in this league. And he's been as loyal as possible. If I were him, quite honestly, I think Cam Jordan should have requested a trade years ago. But he's trying to win one in New Orleans. Maybe he'll get the culture shock that'll help him get there. All right, it's after further review. Let me knock out a break. Come back. Bottom of this hour, we're heading out to L.A. UCLA's got a new football coach. Of course, UCLA plays in Baton Rouge on September the 21st. We'll find out about it. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel. Hey, evenings at the Renaissance are back. Awesome time to go experience the Renaissance Hotel. Tallulah inside the Renaissance. If you haven't done it yet, as you heard me talk about the Renaissance. Well, evenings at the Renaissance. Next up is Friday, February 23rd. It's a week from Friday, February 23rd, from 6:30 until 9 p.m. It'll be tapas and tequila. They'll have a tapas spread paired with their La Adelita craft cocktails. So get on by or make plans to be there. Of course, you can always call over at the Renaissance Hotel. Call at Tallulah. Find out more information or to get tickets for evenings at the Renaissance. Again, coming up on Friday, February 23rd from 6:30 to 9 p.m. Experience the great cuisine, the ambiance, the atmosphere. Great way to spend a Friday night right there at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet. Evenings at the Renaissance is back February 23rd.
Buyou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 Black Widow trucks, $20,000 off new Ram 1500 trucks, and all new Buyou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Buyou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Cahill Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, Windows, Doors, Siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
I can't even explain what was going through my mind. I was just extreme joy. Didn't even know where to go, but just it's so excitement, man. I'm so proud of the team, so proud of the guys, and to battle to the very end. I mean, that was a microcosm of our season. I said it, and everybody came together, and we were able to get the win.
Patrick Mahomes, 3-time Super Bowl champion, in a game that we are expecting is going to end up being the most viewed television event ever. So again, there's a Nielsen, which measures all of the television ratings. You'll generally have like an early rating, an overnight rating, and then they'll have the complete rating at a later time. They're expecting sometime today, Monday, the initial rating to come out, and it's projected to be 126.6 million viewers. According to the Wall Street Journal, the current record is 115.1 million viewers from a year ago when the Chiefs beat the Eagles. Prior to that, it was the last overtime game in Super Bowl history where the Falcons beat the Falcons blew the 28-3 lead to the Patriots. This one was a pretty easy one to call, to think that this would break the viewership record because obviously you had two established brands with the Chiefs and the Niners. The Taylor Swift component of it is undeniable too. Whether you love the Swift component or don't, whatever, it's just an undeniable piece that was going to bring a whole new subsect of the audience to the Super Bowl to watch, whether they cared about football or not. Her fans were going to come and watch. And then the game itself had the late drama. So the fact that you had the comeback, the fourth quarter lead changes, and then overtime, you normally see this when you see a meter graph of television ratings where you'll see the ratings spike, the ratings peak. Well, these ratings are going to peak in overtime, absolutely, because it's only the second time in the history of the Super Bowl that we've had an overtime game. And so people who aren't watching or might have left, were watching the game and stopped, are going to tune in whenever people say, hey, turn this on, or they're on Twitter, turn it on, it's overtime. And so people will come to it and go watch. So I fully expect that it will be. I mean, it's easy to predict that this would be an all-time ratings boom. And then clearly on top of that, there's always the Super Bowl commercials. We were at Don Juan, T-Bob, Muse, and I, and we were doing the companion show, and with headphones on, it was really hard to hear. Like I went back and watched Usher's full halftime show, the 12 minutes, because and one of the things I said while we were on air was I wish he had done more songs. I went back and listened. He did like a dozen songs. It was a medley, and it was so hard to hear where we were. And the same thing with the commercials, too, so I didn't feel like I got a good grasp of it. Paulie, I know you were watching at home. You were not with us. Did you have a favorite commercial?
So mine was probably one of the ones that didn't really get good ratings, but it made me and Samantha laugh out loud, only because so it was the Paramount Plus one when they were doing trying to throw the football over the mountain with Tua, and it was the Hey Arnold guy. It made us laugh because at the end it was talking about they're trying to throw the football over the mountain, but they needed something that was more pigskin, and so at the end they showed Peppa Pig, which is a cartoon. And my daughter Opal watches Peppa Pig. So
Got it.
I thought that was really funny.
I'm looking at the ratings meter right now. It was Paramount, you said?
Yeah, that was Paramount Plus. I think overall it didn't get good ratings, but it made me laugh.
I'm looking for it, dude. God, I don't even see it on here on the rating. So there were 59 ads. The lowest rated one was American Values, which is a Robert F. Kennedy campaign ad. I did not even see the one you're talking about. I'm sure I just scanned it quickly and missed it. But the highest rated Super Bowl ad was the Arnold Schwarzenegger State Farm Like a Good Neighbor ad. The Dunkin' Donuts ad for the boy group that Ben Affleck was starting was number 2. So the State Farm one was 1. The Dunkin' Donuts one was number 2. I don't remember this one. Perfect 10 Kia big game commercial.
That was when the daughter was on the ice skates and her grandpa was wasn't at her recital, so she did the recital at their house.
I need to go back and watch it because, like, again, we're at a bar. I can't even hear the ads, so you're watching, kind of trying to follow along as best you can. I remember the worth remembering the Uber Eats one with Jennifer Aniston.
That one was good.
And
David
Schwimmer was good.
I did go back and watch that one. That one was good.
The NFL ad, which had Justin Jefferson and Cam Jordan in it, was 5th. Of the Christopher Walken, talking like Walken, the BMW ad.
I went back
was
and
7th.
watched that. That was very good too.
Budweiser's old school delivery with the Clydesdales was 8. So anyway, I don't know. I think overall, I don't know. The thing I would say about Super Bowl is people always focus so much on the dollar spend for a Super Bowl ad, like how much it costs. You know, the $3 million or whatever it is for 30 seconds. Or whatever the number is this year. I don't know. I don't care. But there's no other event in the world where people make a point to watch and talk about commercials. Like, the commercials are part of the event. Like, if your commercial doesn't rate well, that's your fault. Like, but if you're buying attention, like if you're trying to buy eyeballs, there's no event. There's literally no other event in the world where people make it a point to watch and talk about the commercials. We're sitting here on a sports show the next day talking about how the commercial's rated.
I liked the Michael Cera commercial too.
Yeah.
For Cera, I went back and watched that one. That one was pretty good.
I didn't even know what that was. So Michael Cera is was in Superbad.
Superbad, yeah.
And I didn't even know what the product was that he was talking about.
It's like a moisturizer or cream or something. They do things. They have like face washes and all that kind of stuff too. So
smart.
Yeah.
But they did. I mentioned this. Bubbly did one a couple of years ago with Michael Bublé. It was a play on his word, or it was a play on his name. So Sarah did the same thing there. I don't know the product, but they did a good job with it.
Yeah, It was very creative.
All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. You can always email the show, Matt at 1045ESPN.com. You can email us, tweet us, text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. I'm going to knock out a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to go out to Westwood. UCLA has a new football coach, and it's Deshaun Foster, who you might remember was one of the greatest running backs ever at UCLA and played for the Carolina Panthers, too, in the NFL. So, anyway, he's their new head coach, replacing Chip Kelly, and the reason we're going to talk about this, obviously, is UCLA comes to Baton Rouge on September the 21st. So, what does this mean for the program? Why did Chip Kelly leave? What can we expect with the roster? All that sort of stuff. We'll get to that when we come back next. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Glow Resources. Glow had them a Super Bowl spot as well. GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. Our friends over at Glow Resources, by the way, they just posted a little bit ago this week's winners. They're like giving away cash on their social media platforms. So I would highly recommend go follow Glow Resources on Facebook and Instagram. It's GLO, glowresources.com. There's Jareth Knockan, the owner on this post. The cash winner, Mallory Robertson, and the top fan winner is Vicky Duty for this week. So congrats to them. Go win cash just by following Glow Resources on social media. It's like $250 cash. Anyway, Glow Resources, GLO, glowresources.com. Glow, they are complete employer solutions. Again, if you're a business owner and you need help hiring, you just can't get it right, and it's wasting time, productivity, and money, let Glow Resources help. GLO, glowresources.com. Complete employer solutions. glowresources.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends April 30th, 2024.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, Windows, Doors, Siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
When UCLA comes to Baton Rouge on September the 21st, there will be a new head man patrolling the sidelines for the Bruins. Deshaun Foster, former UCLA running back, who a lot of fans down here may remember from his time with the Carolina Panthers. He is the new head coach over at UCLA. Talk about it, Bryan Fenley, who's a UCLA football postgame radio host, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Bryan, appreciate it, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good times here in Westwood. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. Let's go back before we go forward. Chip Kelly leaving is so odd to a lot of people, right? To leave a head coaching job for an OC job, a lot of money involved as well. What happened? Why did Chip Kelly seemingly want out?
Chip wanted out for quite some time. We saw the reports, obviously, even going back to last year when he was in the interview room for University of Cincinnati's football job. The thing about Chip is, and there is some truth to this, Chip is a guy who I like to think of it like this. He doesn't, in this new day and age of college football, he doesn't want to be the CEO of the team and the program, which you really need to be. He is more akin to just kind of wanting to be that research scientist who gets a grant from a school and can sit in a lab all day and draw plays and not have much other responsibility than that. And so there was a lot to that in the sense of he doesn't, I think at this stage, and we just turned 60, I think he wants to be a little bit less under the responsibility of a program. I also think with UCLA, it's a very complicated NIL situation. Now, the guys that are on the team right now would be the first to tell you it is a very challenging state in the sense of they're really behind. NIL very much behind. And so part of that obviously would contribute to indecent recruiting, where UCLA was now going to the Big Ten. They were ranked 18 out of 18 schools. So a lot of that is that they're sort of like this, they're not coming to the times, progressive thought with NIL. Chip might have seen that, probably thought, okay, I'm not going to win next year. And whatever reputation I still can preserve, I'm going to jump ship right now so that at least if he stayed and the season went really bad, then I don't know where he would have an opportunity. And at least now he's got something, and it's his friend Ryan Day, because a lot of other people have kind of turned him down at this point.
Sure. I mean, staying ahead of the resume, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
So Deshaun Foster is the guy. I think that's a name college football fans remember, as I mentioned in the Open. Played for the Carolina Panthers. A lot of people here would remember. Give us a little bit of the thumbnail of Deshaun Foster, the coach. How did he end up at this point as the guy?
Well, he had recently taken the job as the running backs coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, and I think he did that with the sense. My hunch is, before it was announced that Chip Kelly was leaving UCLA, I just have this sneaky suspicion that Deshaun was tipped off, because I would say about a week before Chip announced, or the reports were that he was leaving UCLA, Deshaun Foster takes this job with the Raiders. So he must have known something about, okay, there's going to be a big change coming, and I'm not sure what the landscape is going to look like, and so I'm going to move on. Now, obviously, with it being this late in the ball game, when it comes to the heavy traffic of the hiring cycles of head coaching and firings and all of that, UCLA put themselves in, to no fault of their own, but more so Chip Kelly, that they were in a tough spot because a lot of the deals and coaches, they've already been settled into wherever they're going to be next year. So very much past that go process of going and getting guys and coaches and figuring out that circus that right after the regular season that we see every year. So there weren't a whole lot of options, I think, that were viable. I think the biggest thing with Deshaun and what he brings is he's a unifier. And there's a lot of panic within the program. A lot of guys were threatening to leave as far as players. And what Deshaun Foster does, and again, he's a great man. He's unproven. Like, he's never had a job of this responsibility as a head coach. But the players loved him. And I think UCLA, their first decision was, okay, with all of this chaos, first thing is damage control. And what does that mean? That means making sure the least amount of guys transfer out because the program is in a flux. So who do we bring in? Deshaun Foster. He might not have the proven track record of, say, a head coach who's won other places or something. But then again, how many other options are there at this time of the year? So Deshaun, he went to UCLA. He's been a coach at UCLA, an assistant since 2017. He's been one of the more underpaid assistants at UCLA. He has been underappreciated. This is an opportunity that I feel like he is ready for, and what he does is eliminate a lot of players who were second-guessing themselves about sticking around next year, including a tweet that just came out a couple hours ago from QB1 Ethan Garbers, who said that he is fully on board with Deshaun Foster. So I think the goal from the AD Martin Jarman was, who's the guy that we can bring in to avoid having everybody essentially have a mass exodus? Because UCLA, Chip Kelly knew that he was leaving, and he did really nothing at the national signing period. He's known to hit some big jackpots in the transfer portal. He basically just was passively uninvolved in that. So the team, when it comes to stockpiling for next year, didn't really do anything. So that whatever they did have, they had to keep to give themselves a chance in the Big Ten. And the guy to keep as many of those guys in Westwood was Deshaun Foster, and I don't think anybody else could have done that like him.
Bryan Fenley is our guest, Fox Sports Radio, also part of the UCLA football postgame radio broadcast. Fascinating topic. So So Bryan, I saw last week, I know ESPN puts out their returning production metric and all that, and UCLA was like 95th in the country in returning production. Yeah. So what is this roster that's coming to Baton Rouge in September going to look like?
Well, that to me is a scary prospect, because look at the team from last year. UCLA, so this is a UCLA team. They're really, and Chip Kelly is one of the guys who loves to run the football. They've done a really good job. I can't fault Chip Kelly in this. Chip Kelly, while he hasn't been and wasn't a great recruiter at UCLA, he was a great developer of talent. You look at so many running backs that have come and gone seemingly from nowhere Guys like Joshua Kelly, who came from UC Davis and then was drafted by the Chargers, to Zach Charbonnet, of course, who's now on the Seahawks. These are guys who were passed up initially with their colleges, and Chip Kelly was able to find something out of them that maybe even the players themselves did not see. What Chip Kelly did last year, and what's going to be the biggest problem, I think, is defensively for UCLA. Because UCLA had a great defensive coordinator, and he ends up getting poached by USC. They pay him double the amount of money. They're going to give him about $2 million. Yancey Lynn, he had a great first year. He's Anthony Lynn's son. Of course, Anthony Lynn, coach in the NFL and formerly with the Chargers. So Anthony Lynn's son was the DC at UCLA last year. People loved him. But the Bruins, and the problem with UCLA as an athletic program is that they are in a financial crisis. And one of the reasons why they decided to go to the Big Ten is because the athletic program is in such financial debt, meaning a guy that's a hot topic, a guy who's an up-and-coming coach like a Yancey Lynn, the DC, they can't keep him. So USC takes him. They pay him over $2 million a year. UCLA could not do that. But what Yancey did last year is really do a great job in cultivating the talent. Guys like Ileatu Latu, you're going to probably hear in the NFL draft of this first round this upcoming year. You got the Murphy twins as well. Those guys should be picked up in the draft. The biggest problem, I think, is defensively, what is UCLA going to be? Because a lot of their back-end guys, the secondary, they got better NIL deals, which goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where UCLA is not so much involved in the pay-for-play, very behind in the times, archaic with the NIL. So there have been other schools like USC that have poached a couple of the better DBs on the team. So now it's like, who's coming back? You lose your best pass rusher to the NFL. Some of your DBs are now going to other schools. There could be some stability at that linebacker position, but honestly, I think the biggest issue going into that LSU game is going to be what kind of defense this Bruins team can show, and right now that certainly is in question.
Wow. Well, we got a long way to go. I would assume also, Brian, last thing, that when the spring portal rolls around, that would likely be an opportunity where UCLA is going to try to supplement their roster. So a long way of saying this roster is probably far from done right now.
It has to be. It absolutely has to be, because right now, I mean, and I think that Coach Foster would be the first to tell you, or at least he would say it to himself right now, UCLA has a gauntlet of a season next year, and wins are going to be extremely hard to come by, no matter who they're playing. So if they want to win a couple of games, to be honest with you, they have to. And what they do have are a lot of returning pieces on offense. They've got some great wide receivers. They have got a quarterback, a transfer from University of Washington, and Ethan Garbers, whose brother Chase was the quarterback at Cal for all of those years. So they have some pieces offensively that are coming back. So at least they have that. I feel like they're going to put up points, but are they going to be able to stop anybody? And that's the biggest concern, I think, going into that LSU game next year.
A lot of time between now and then. It'll be interesting to see how Coach Deshaun Foster does in that year one. Bryan Fenley, part of the UCLA Football Radio Network, the postgame host there, good enough to spend a couple of minutes with us. Bryan, we appreciate it, man. All the best. Have a good week.
Hey, thanks so much. Look forward to that matchup coming up in a few months' time.
Hey, man, we'll be happy to host you when you're in.
Look forward to it.
All right, be well. We appreciate it. That's Bryan Fenley. This is After Further Review. Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. With 18 locations in South Louisiana, you're never far from a Shawbills location. You can find the location nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Book service online, shop tires online. Remember, when you go to the website, you can search by year, make, model, body style, all that sort of stuff that you need. Whatever your tires are, I should say, you can go to the website. You can shop tires. Just hit the shop tires. You'll find the location nearest you. Select whatever location is nearest, and then just like that, boom, you're shopping. Remember, Shawbills has their price match guarantee as well. So if you buy tires at Shawbills, if you find them cheaper somewhere else, they're going to give you the price match guarantee within 30 days of that purchase, and it's part of their customer bill of rights, which guarantees you 100% satisfaction with their service. It's Shawbills. Home of the Charlie's Dozen. With every new tire purchase and installation, it's Shawbills. Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, we keep you rolling. All right. good show. We appreciate you for being here with us. We've got Jimmy coming up for Otter Locks. I do want to we'll talk when Jimmy's here a little bit about the betting angle from Super Bowl 58, where sports books needed the Niners and the under, and instead, because of overtime, they got the Chiefs and the over. So how much of a bath did the sports books take? Was it a winning day for the public? So a lot of props and everything that people get involved in. So we'll talk about that with Jimmy and see what he's got on the docket for us tonight for a little Otter Lock. So make sure you got your apps ready to go, and let's find out what we're betting on tonight. We'll do Otter Locks to wrap up the show next here on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. And remember, tonight and every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings, so pay one low price and eat as many wings as you want all night long, every single Monday at Pluckers, Nicholson, and Bluebonnet. There's something every night of the week, though. Monday is all-you-can-eat wings, so maybe Lundy Gras, the kids are out of school, and you're looking for something to do tonight. If you didn't get out of town to go skiing or go to Disney or whatever people do during Mardi Gras, get them by Pluckers. All-you-can-eat wings. Pay one low price, eat as many wings as you want all night long. So it's always a great night to get by Pluckers. You got the Pels playing tonight. So the Pels in Memphis against the Grizzlies. You want a place to go, watch the Pels and the Grizz, eat some wings, have a few beers with the buddies. That's a great way to do it. 7 o'clock tip. You can do that at Pluckers. Either location. Nicholson, just south of LSU's campus. Tiger basketball tomorrow. Make sure you get by Pluckers before or after the game. Or Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Remember, it's Pluckers, where if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Buyou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Buyou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Buyou Ford is going to do right by you.
Join MMR and ignite your career today. MMR is the largest electrical and instrumentation contractor in the nation, and they're seeking talented individuals to join their team. For over 3 decades, they've been headquartered right here in Baton Rouge, and they have offices all around the globe.
And MMR offers a tailored path for both professional and personal development, outstanding benefits, and a dynamic culture. So whether you're an intern, a seasoned pro, or you're just starting out, see what MMR can offer you. Apply at mmrgrp.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Cahill Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR. One thing left to do, let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otterlocks.
Otterlocks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and of an incomprehensible, the Ott father himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
Oh, moving a little slow today, but
Not a bad day at the Bow, I would imagine.
No, man, it was fun, man. It was the closest to the game, all the props. It was had a lot of electricity down here. We had a blast, man, to finish up our football season, and I was stubborn. I had to take San Francisco, and they had plenty of chances to put them away, but the drill. So anyway,
Otter, I rode with you for most of the like all season, football, college, all that stuff. Man, I went against you with Michigan in the national championship game, and I went against you with Kansas City in the Super Bowl. I rode with you until the bitter end, and then it was like, no, this is where the train stops, dog.
Yeah. But now look, I had a couple of teasers with both sides of the total.
I did that too.
Kansas City, so I had a San Francisco up at half. Chiefs win the game prop. The Kelsey and Mahomes, those overs, that was kind of tough to take. You can't end game and try and middle a prop bet.
Right.
I was like, where's? I don't know. It was like minus a club in my bag.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
it was interesting. I know a lot of the guys that on Football Sunday that I heard had mentioned a teaser with the Chiefs and the over, which I did that. It was a smart play. And look, we needed overtime for it to hit, but still there were plenty of wins. Which is, before we get to tonight, I did want to ask you. So because it felt like out of the sports books needed the Niners and the under. Well, what they got was the Chiefs and the over. So was this like a bloody Sunday for the books?
No. They still got the under, which was big. Okay. So, but it was kind of a spin your wheels day for most of the books. Kansas City was definitely public. And look, if they score one more point, they would have got clean pretty good. But Kelsey and Mahomes, everybody was on those totals. They went over. So, it was just kind of pretty much a kind of a small loss for most of the sports books.
I had read, I know that 47 and a half was the total for much of the week, but I had read that on Sunday, a lot of places a lot of places it dropped to 46 and a half on Sunday, and so a lot of people were able to hammer that number at 46 and a half before it went back to 47.
I didn't hear of any 46 and a half, but everybody went off at 47 that I talked to.
Okay.
So, but yeah. And that was, that's where it is when respected money comes in, because, man, all the bets were on the over. So, just some of that respected money coming in.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it tonight. Obviously, Monday's the light card. Wake Forest plus the points against Duke.
Okay.
Texas Tech plus the points. Are they favorites? Gang? Come on, look at it. Like, good. Oh, they're favorite. Scratch that, Matt. So Kansas up by the half a point to 4. I can't believe that. To catch your point. But anyway,
all right, I'm looking at Kansas 3.5. So we're buying Kansas to 4.
Yes. And then here's a money line parlay: 5 teams: TCU, McNeese State, Cavaliers, Pelicans, Clippers.
All right, Cavs.
Like plus 120, 125.
Clips. Okay. TCU, God dog it. Of course, my pen would stop writing right now. TCU, McNeese, Cavs, Pels, and Clippers is what we're looking at?
Yes.
All right. All right. So to go, I don't have the I'm trying to find the Wake Forest line. Kansas is at 3.5. Buy to 4. Wake Forest, I'm looking at DraftKings. Wake Forest is plus 7. So we're taking Wake plus the 7.
No. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Wake plus the 7 against Duke, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Wake +7, Kansas +4. It's 3.5, buy it to 4, and then the money line parlay is 5 teams. It's TCU, McNeese, and then in the NBA, the Cavs, the Pels, and the Clippers. All right, before you go, real quick, I wanted to ask, because you gave us this angle last week that I never heard you mention, and I've mentioned it several times. I want to make sure I have it right. You'd said NBA or NHL teams, when they're on a long road trip, they come home, you bet against them. So here's my question.
First game back home after at least a minimum five game road trip.
5-game trip. Okay, because the Pels are going to be home Wednesday after a 4-game road trip, so that doesn't qualify.
Yeah, I mean, no, it doesn't.
Okay.
I mean, but it's it's close. So
okay.
I would think that would be. I was going to point to that would being out of town for Mardi Gras, but no, it's not an autoplay. We just stick with 5 or more.
And it is also, that will also be the second of a back-to-back for New Orleans, being on the road tonight against Memphis, back-to-back at home tomorrow after a long trip. So that might be a spot. Might be a spot to look at the Wizards. All right, Otter, y'all are off tomorrow, for Mardi Gras?
Yeah. Max is doing the show. Trust me, nobody had a better weekend than Max. Clark, Taylor to be the first-round leader, 110-1. And to win the tournament.
1 minute remaining.
170-1. And then he had over two sec of alternate line, over 25 for plus 750. So he did just fine. So.
Max is buying for everybody. All right, Otter. Enjoy the rest of your night, man. Happy Mardi Gras. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.
All right. Happy Mardi Gras. Good luck.
All right, man. Be well. That is Jimmy out. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. Otter, of course, is a Williamson Eye Center patient, as am I. Dr. Blake Williamson. Tell you every single day, if you want to see 2020, call 924-2020. Just go for that consultation at the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com. Ditch those contacts and glasses forever, y'all. There's a way to do it. Dr. Blake Williamson can help. 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com. Okay, that's going to do it for us here on this Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. Muse, Paulie, appreciate you. Y'all have an awesome night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.